All right. All right. Anyone here? Can anyone hear me? Making sure the microphone's working. I have to unplug everything after doing this and move the laptop after all. I really need to get music and other stream assets ready, but I haven't done that yet. Uh, oops. Well, that's not going to happen. Nice. Zero people. Nice. Wonderful. Whatever. Let's just start. Be nice that I could tell anyone was here. gray paint that I should have had. And then I'll have to thin with actual thinner would be the ideal. But I think most of my paints are behind my freaking 3D printer. Here we go. Let's see what I've got. Do I have a gray interior color? Medium sea gray. Perfect. US Field Drab. Brilliant. Could use that too. Flesh tone. Not useful at the moment. Super, yeah, flat brown. Probably not useful. Flat flesh. Also not useful. Oh. Alright, now to hope my chair doesn't fall apart. Well, this is not a terribly comfortable way to do this. That's still probably a little too wet to continue adding more. Go on to another piece. Boy, if anyone would say anything in the chat, I might actually be able to talk about something interesting. Instead, it's just dead air, and that's pretty awful, I'd say. Should have fixed these pin marks, but whatever. It's not a big deal. It's a $13 kit that I'm not incredibly concerned with. Should have gotten some extra water so I clean my brush off. There we go. Sea gray. So I can start painting the cockpit. And the fun, gross sound of shaking paint. Alright. Cool. That looks disgusting. But I'll do what I need. So last stream I was working on, I built the wings for this, although there are some gaps I need to fill and some pretty awful looking, oh Jesus Christ, pretty awful looking seams on here. This is a really old tooled kit, so it's not terribly surprising in that regard. I think this was made in 1970 something. That's probably got part of that in there. So many booms. There we go. That gives me a little bit more of a clear workspace. All right. I know this kit's from sometime, I want to say in the 1980s or thereabouts. I think this particular reboxing with different different decals and paint schemes is from I think 2000 something. It's more recent, but it's still pretty old. And the paints for the interior are, yeah, gray Federal Standard 36231, which I absolutely do not have, and am probably not going to buy anytime soon. Let's see, if you look at the kit, it has raised panel lines, not recessed ones, which look pretty terrible. Some scratch marks on there, which are going to be great. But that's the way old kits used to be. Just have to work with what I've got. Check something real quick. God, I wish my dog would stop barking. Really have to get out of the suburbs for that, though. Everybody here in this neighborhood has dogs now, and they will never, ever shut up. And as a result, my dog barks endlessly, which is fairly miserable. Well, it probably could have been done better. Yeah, that'll require a bit of putty. Oh well. Cockpit's not so bad. A little low end, but it's fine. Gotta get closer to my desk, but really limited on that. Need a lower desk, maybe. Oh well. Got what I got. Alright. Let's try making sure this paint's good and thin, because I really do not feel like hooking up my airbrush to do all this. So we could try brush painting all of it. Which might work a little bit better if I could actually put my elbows on the desk itself. Engine parts out of the way. Disorganized as it could possibly be. Chair, need that. Chair, need that. Already puttied these. Yes, they're probably not done real well. Okay. There, that might actually function. Could really use background music. This is low effort at the moment, but that's all I have, unfortunately. Now, because I'm brush painting everything, I have to keep everything, keep the paint, which is Vallejo Model Color paint, diluted with tap water, thin so that I can actually get some coverage without brush strokes over the whole kit. And so it's not globbed on or anything. You just do multiple coats and get good coverage with fairly good looking surface. Dries pretty quick, which is nice. That might not have been thin enough. It's alright, this will never be seen again anyway. Once this kit's built, you won't be able to see this far into it really. This thing has a pretty big cockpit, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy to see through the glass once it's all painted and done. So probably shouldn't be too terribly concerned. This paint is remarkably close to the actual plastic. Probably a little light for the interior color of this aircraft, but it'll be fine. I should have painted this before I put this together. Oh well. Well, it's not thin enough. Oops. Just bumping the hell out of things. A bit of a cramped workspace doing it this way. But that's alright. I don't have a better setup at the moment. So I'm just working with what I got. Freaking dust gets in everything. Disadvantage is living in an old house. Need to have air filters running non-stop, and I don't. Maybe one day. Coverage isn't too bad on here. This is my first time attempting to paint like this too. Most of the times I've brush painted in my life have been using old testers, model master, enamels, and those things do not work well at all. Alright, let me hold on for a moment. Leftovers in here, yeah. If you're actually in the chat, say something so I can actually know if I need to be speaking or not. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty boring. I'm just talking to nobody about anything the whole time. Do a better job of cleaning this brush off here shortly. Set that there. Let me check on here for a second. At least you can tell one person's here, alright. I can't read Discord while I'm in here. I have to tab out, and that's not the easiest thing for me to do. I mean, like I've said before, my computer is sitting on a trash can beside me. Not balanced terribly well or anything. My chair doesn't swivel, so this is not the best way to do this, I won't lie. But it's the only way I have at the moment to do it, until I manage to get a little more space cleaned out over here. And set the desk up better, which would absolutely make my life easier. Alright. Let me see something. Okay. Alright. Let's continue on. More parts that need to be dark sea gray. I know the chairs need to, but they also have to be olive drab as well. Ah, I didn't clean those pin marks off. How visible are they going to be? Probably more visible than I want. Of course. Well, let's sand them down real quick. Sandpaper. I looked at these things long enough to clean everything else up off of them, miss the pin marks on the headrests. Ugh. There's a Tamiya P47 kit and 172 scale. I really probably should have gone with that instead. That would have been a much nicer kit to build. But I haven't bought that kit. Nitrile gloves do not fit perfectly. There we go. Maybe not. I'm not sure if they've all got accounts or not. I would think they would. I'm not sure who all was watching. I sent it to other people I know on Discord. I wonder how sunken that's gonna be. I bet it's pretty awful. We'll be alright. Just trying to get this thing done so I can display it at my office relatively well. should be capable of doing that, I would say. It's at least that worth that much honor, I would imagine. How's the paint looking? Fairly good, maybe a little too thick. That's fine, we'll just spread it out real nice. The back's not visible anyway. Now, I'm pretty sure the other guys have YouTube accounts, but do have a way to hold this easier. This is too small a part for me to be doing it like this. Yeah, there we go. Tweezers come in handy once again. Who'd have ever guessed? They might be useful. Yeah, that's good enough. I'm getting way too much paint, not enough water. Yeah, there's still a little bit of a sink part on there. Ah well. Not going to go back and putty it now, especially when this will be mostly invisible. It's not a whole lot there to worry about, really. Three browsers open. I don't know that it counts views that way. I'm not sure. I've never actually looked into that, because I'd imagine there'd be plenty of people who would just open their browsers and watch their own streams or have a friend do it in order to boost their numbers to try and get themselves going further, which I don't know that would work very well. Not just in practical uses, but just functionally. I feel like that wouldn't be a great way to do it. I guess you're just trying to catch, like, what other viral features or functions you can get, but I have doubts that it would work very well. Ah, crap. There it is. Ding. Got it. Oh, I don't want to be pressing on the paint right now to make sure it's seated further in. There we go. Just squeeze on the tweezers a little bit. That should do it. Is this seated well? I can... Oh, it does work. Fair enough. Well, that's pretty funny to know. I'm not sure I'd want to take that method. I'd rather just have a few viewers and see what I can manage. Still need to make sure that I have good topics to talk about while I'm doing this, and I keep meaning to write them down on the lead up, but where I've missed like 2 streams in a row too, maybe it's not that important, to be honest. I need to get assets too. One of my friends suggested using video game music in order to have you know, background music. And that seems like it would work pretty well if I didn't think I would wind up getting in trouble for it in some way. Piss off the owners of the music or something. Actually getting fairly good coverage on this. At least it looks like it. Gonna have to cut these brushes or something. They keep bumping onto my lamp. Oh yeah, you're right. Close one browser and it goes to 2. Whatever. That's fine. I'd hoped more of the people that I linked it to would sit and watch, but guess no one's got the time for me. Whatever. It's just the way it goes. We'll wait and see how much more that one needs. Yeah, that's not going to work as well. If I had straight tweezers, maybe this would do a bit better, but I do not have straight tweezers. I need to buy more tweezers so I have more options. I have tons of other crap, but I have no tweezers, and these ones are not very good. But I did get them for a few yen at a hobby shop in Akihabara. I think they were 300 yen, 400 yen, somewhere in there. I don't know. Somehow they always just blast everything you try and hold with them like 2 miles away. If you pick something up with them, it'll shoot them out of the jaws and you'll never find it again. I've had that happen so many times. Makes it real difficult when you're trying to work with photo etch. Every time that you pick up a piece, you're praying to God you don't launch the piece into the floor or something like that. And if I lose something on the floor right now, my chair doesn't roll. I don't have a whole lot of room. I have to maneuver a bunch of lights to see what I'm doing in order to find the piece on the floor. So I'm really, really hoping I don't drop anything on the floor, because right now it means I have to move my computer too. And I don't know if that means I have to unplug anything due to the length of the cords. So ideally, I would like to not drop pieces. Concurrent viewers, 0. Fantastic. I don't know how that stuff's updated. Whatever. I'm just working. It's my focus. Did I not get the rest of that seat? I did not get the rest of the seat. I did stupidly order a new kit. Ordered the TACOM 144 scale Lune class Chronoplan. That might be pretty fun. Shipped out today, I think. So that'll be here soon. I don't really want to start more kits until this one is done. This one probably won't be done very well, but whatever, it's fine. This kit quality is not fantastic. It's definitely not through the charts, and I'm not real good at doing this yet, so I'm not great at fixing problems with the kits. I built kits a lot when I was a kid, but I wasn't exactly good back then either. So it definitely doesn't help me in that regard. My phone keeps buzzing, but I'm not gonna... Oh. Yeah, it says 1 on my end. It's funny that if... Sometimes it might drop to 0. Maybe... Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not trying to become a YouTube master. Just trying to build model kits and have some fun hanging out. Chatting as I go. Okay, coverage. I gotta paint some of this olive drab here shortly anyway. So if the sides of the chair look fine, then front it looks fine, it will be fine. Oh, bonk again. That should do. Alright, let's check this again. I really could have done a better job in the middle there. So let's apply more paint inside the doorway, which I should have painted before gluing it together. But I do not want to crack it apart now. That would be terrible. Should probably paint some darker color in there too, because I think that's an actual doorway to the back, but the back has no detail because the back would not be visible. At least not very. As you maybe can see here, the windows to the back of the aircraft are absolutely tiny. And the way plastic is going to work is just you won't be able to see anything through them at all. It's a waste of time and effort to try and make a nice looking cockpit for the back of that because you'd never see anything. It would be glued up and sealed off forever, never to be known or seen again. The only evidence that you even did anything would be if you took pictures or in your own heart. Unless someone breaks it apart for some reason to see if there's an interior inside, which when I was a kid I probably would have attempted to do. Because kids are kind of dumb about that. Curiosity will make them quite destructive. Build anime waifus? I don't know, that's like figure painting stuff. That does exist. But that's beyond me. I don't know anything about painting figures. It's something I'd like to attempt more, but I haven't taken the effort. Painting is always really horribly intimidating to me. It's messy, it requires more cleanup than everything else. I don't know, painting's usually where I quit building kits. I can build them okay, I can't paint them for my life. It's probably not a good thing, because it means I have unfinished kits if I don't paint them. And then what's the point? I think that side could probably use a little more paint. But if I put washes on this, you're not going to be able to... Some of the lightness or the low coverage areas probably won't be visible by that point. That's some washes. I have some Tamiya panel liner somewhere here. Honestly, not precisely sure where, but I do know that I have it. So I'll have to figure that out, and maybe we'll try and apply some. It's just enamel panel thinner, so like or enamel panel wash. So apply it on acrylics, then the thinner won't do anything to those. They won't damage the finish it's currently on here. Alright. Let's see, how much here needs to be painted? How much inside of the aircraft? Alright, so that bit there would seem... Well, I should probably paint everything in here, really. No, not the whole thing, but at least enough to where you can see the gray through it. Let me check something. Nothing. All right. God, what are all those weird scratches in there? Such such a low quality molds, I guess. That's what happens when you're dealing with stuff from, you know, years before you were born. Things are old and that's the way they are. I tried to find if there were better S3 Viking kits out there because I really like these aircraft. I think they're neat. As I probably said on the last stream, which I took down, they use TF34 engines. I was trying to remember if it was TF or CF34. Oh, it does not look great there. It's like a seam, isn't it? Yeah. Things I should have cleaned before and didn't. Things that you sometimes only notice once paint starts getting applied. Cool. Oh, that's a wonderful sound. I love that. Okay, there we go. Let's do it on this side before I start applying paint here too. No, that one actually looks okay. Maybe a little. I know a neat way to solve the dust being on there too, actually. But we won't worry about that because I don't think it'll be necessary. Clean that up well enough? No. Oh, that's wiggly. I don't like that one bit. God, that looks awful. Look at that line there. The problem is that I can't tell what's flash and what's not because it's... $12.40. Well, how can I truly complain? I'm an American, I'll find a way. This wet palette method that I saw in another video is pretty neat. A sponge with some baking paper on it. You just soak it all in water. Well, not the baking paper, but you get the sponge soaked with water, and it's pretty much all there is to it. Okay, let's see what's realistic that I'm going to be able to see through here. Ooh. Probably. Oh, well, hold on a second. Let's see what the instructions tell me to do. What should the top of the part of the aircraft be painted? Like, I can't tell, so I'm going with gray. Because that makes the most sense, I would say. Oh, I guess that actually makes sense. I should probably be painting... Well, I don't know, what's... I'll check later. Let's keep working with what we got. I should see if that needs to be gray as well, though. Be alright. Let's make it all gray. That way we're thorough. I don't really think I need to paint the inside of the radome. I don't know if this is going to need lead shot in the radome in order to stay balanced. Probably. Considering the wings and just... probably. I'm probably going to need to take care of that. I'm not positive this should be painted gray, but we're going to paint it gray. I can't actually find anything on it. But on all the aircraft I've been in, and all the cockpits I've been in, I'm quite familiar with civilian jets for the most part. CRJ 200s, ERJ 145s, and 135s. Boeing B717s, 737 700s rather, not 800s. 800s are longer than the ones we normally got. A319s and A320s, along with the occasional CRJ 700 and 900. You get fairly familiar. Is that another seam right there? We'll fix it once we glue it together. Clean that up and paint. Well, I'm doing this part right now anyway. I should just wait until I glue it together because I'm going to have to fix that part right there anyway. But that at a later date. I really wish these panel lines weren't raised because that's going to be terrible looking once it's done. I will. Alright. Clean the brush up a little bit so it doesn't dry while I eyeball what I'm doing next. What time is it? 9:04, roger. Probably be on here for another 20 minutes or so. Can't go all night, sadly. Simply do not have that ability. What's the inside of the wheel well supposed to be? 316, that's white. Okay. Oh, 33, that's what, flat black? Flat black, yeah. Okay, there we go. Now I see what I'm supposed to be doing. 316 and 45. Well, I'll probably just close that panel and not worry about it. Probably close those panels too. Should have decided all that much earlier than now, but that's okay. 317 there. All right. Trying to determine what all I need to paint gray so I don't have to do this again. Right. The sticks. Let's grab those out then. piece is that? Double check. B2. B2. This is what? C sprue? D sprue? God, you can't even read that due to the giant plastic crap on it. There's the sticks. Do need those, and I need this. I should probably paint that too, actually, so that I can put the decal on. I already cut the piece off. There it is. That part right there. Alright. Handy sprue cutters. I should really invest in a better pair. Because again, these are cheapos that I bought in Tokyo. Because I'm an idiot and I go to Japan and buy stuff for model building supplies. God, are these... What are these for? Because that's going to be absolutely horrific to solve those pin marks if I try and keep this open. That is terrible. Watch those be for the landing gear, and I'll just have to suck up the fact that they're going to be there forever. Thanks, Hasegawa. Whatever. Anyway. Good. And sticks. Here. Don't fly off the table. Please, God, do not fly off the table. Can't get a good angle on this one. There we go. Dog again. Every one of my neighbors has dogs. It makes her as angry as she could possibly get. To have to see other dogs all the time. Or all my neighbors have like 5 cars apiece and they don't use the ones that they park in their actual driveways. So they're on the street all the time. Hopefully I will move out to a rural area soon. Well, I don't know how soon that'll be. Looks alright. Good enough. It's barely visible anyway. Dog is being too loud. Is she coming through on the audio? Can you hear her barking? I don't know just how much this microphone picks up after all. I haven't exactly been able to test it in that regard. Yeah, 20 minutes. I've gotten almost nothing done on this kit in the hour or so I've been working on it because, well, I don't know. I've not been terribly fast about it. I would think I would get more done. That should do. Alright. Now let's pray that this doesn't fly off as soon as I... Oh, hold on a second. Let's get a bit of the water out of the brush. I need some brush cleaner to keep these things clean. That's something I have to invest in soon. It's like propped up by something before, and that really helped. Helped me keep accessing it. Cable, come on, cable, get out of the way. There we go. Also need to grab some zip ties, I would say. Let's paint our tweezers. They're gonna get hit and I'm not gonna care. I can clean them off later. Oh, am I gonna drop it? I genuinely can't even really tell if that's been painted. The color is so close. Oh, why couldn't this have like a weird color to the plastic, like neon green or something? That would be way easier to see what you've painted and what you haven't. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, haven't really gotten this side. There we go. Once it starts to dry, you can kind of see it, but when it's wet, it is absolutely almost the exact same color. It's a nightmare. This for that goofy cockpit color from World War II would be easier too, which is a green zinc chromate. That stuff is pretty wild looking. I have no idea why that was the color they were painting cockpits during World War II. But that was what they used. And it's a pretty interesting color. I mean, pretty sure the name explains what's in it in order to cause it being called green zinc chromate. I actually have some paint that's supposed to be that color somewhere here, but I don't know exactly where at this very moment. It's probably... Oh, Lord. I'm not going to look for it. I don't have enough mobility to look for it at the moment. Enough? Is that coated properly? Can't tell anymore. Be alright. Okay. Why didn't I clean up the other parts that I needed to paint first? I don't know. Not thinking real hard. Knife. That's got a scalpel blade on it. That's not going to be useful. Let's try and clean this up real quick, so that I can paint it gray as well. Most fun painting things gray. Gray is such a vibrant color. Everyone loves gray after all. Oops, got a little chunk of it out there. All right. Because my arms are up here, I'm not gonna leave those things open. Cut myself up if I try that kind of nonsense. Sanding. So I have a question. If I could find some royalty-free music, which I certainly can do, if I could find some that loops well, what kind of music would actually go well with this? Like, what's your opinion on that? Not noticeable anymore? Nope. So we're good. Alright. That is a lot of water on there. This looks like it. That's too thin. Nice, 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 nice. That's just pure water. There's no paint in that almost. Not in that either. Let's try and get some of this water off of here. There we go. Paint. Try again. Nah, it's not gonna adhere. Too wet. Not anymore. Do-overs. Call him mulligan on that one. Can't tell it's been painted, but it's been painted. I wish I had a way to hold this better. Let's see. That should allow me to do what I need. City Pop Lo-Fi. I would like to get some City Pop. I'm not sure that you... I mean, do we have royalty-free City Pop? That's the question. Until somebody makes me some background music. Gotta kinda work with what I can get. I was looking for that last week or so, and I kind of forgot that well, I didn't forget, I just didn't work hard enough on it, honestly. On getting that problem solved before today. May as well tell the truth. What's the point of lying? I'll know I lied. And that's pretty bad. Is the part going to be visible, even? The interior of that, because it's got some sink marks on it. No, it should be covered by the bar, so I don't have to worry about that. Over here, now that paint's dry on this end. We can see it still needs more. So let's go ahead and knock that out. Whatever people, like, they edit stuff and they show you pretty much like 90% of the action. And you build an entire model in like 20-some minutes. Been doing this for an hour and a half almost a day. And I've gotten nothing done. That actually looks really nice and smooth from what I can see. Hopefully it dries with good coverage. That'll be the cherry on top, that's for sure. I like this brush painting method. This seems like it could work really well. This will save me some time because setting up the airbrush takes longer, and I'm unsure of just how terrible that's gonna sound on the microphone. Like, I don't have a tankless compressor, so it is going... I'm sorry, I don't have a compressor with a tank, rather. So it's going to be absolutely horrible because it will run constantly if I'm running an airbrush. It's fine when it's just me. It's probably not going to be so good if I'm trying to entertain people, because it's going to be terribly loud every second of it. You can kind of see the sprue marks there. It's fine. Not going to be noticeable enough for me to want to worry about it any further than I already have. Just in case, let's go ahead and make sure the inside of this thing's painted properly as well. It shouldn't be visible once all is said and done, but I'd really rather not find that out later. That I'm wrong. There we go. All right, let's check all these over again. And for good measure, one more nice coat of paint. Get that fantastic coverage we all know and love. All right. So many lights on in this room. It's funny. You want good light coverage so you can see what's going on at the same time. I have so many different shades. It's hard to tell what's actually happened. You can kind of see the brush marks in that. It's not perfect. It's not terrible. Could probably thin this all a little bit more, but again, whatever. I will airbrush the exterior, and that's going to be the part that matters most in that regard. Donk. There we go. Alright, where was the instrument panel? Which needs a decal, which I could probably install. I have water, although the water's not going to be warm anymore. The water's probably a little dirty from the brush sitting in it. So that's another point against it. It's alright. I gotta work on my knife work. There's a really slight notch on that, but considering it's on the underside and it's gonna be here once all is said and done, it's probably not really that big a deal because it won't be noticeable. Oh, I should have painted. Yeah, I'll do that here in a minute. I can touch it up later anyway. It's just gonna be a lot more difficult once the decal's on here. So I'm gonna have to live without it looking great. Do I have some poster putty around? I know I have some, I don't have it ready. Oh well. Let's just paint. I did kind of forget that this paint has a grain, or not paint, but the plastic has a grain to it. So maybe what I'm seeing aren't brush marks. Maybe it's just the plastic itself. As soon as I start painting, I can see that grain it's got. Pretty weird. Perfect. think my stomach's growling because I didn't eat dinner. I had a banana and water. Fine with me. I don't need any more food. There we go. Takes a long time to cover stuff with such thin paint sometimes, but I could have set up my airbrush and done all this a lot quicker and just tossed it in the ultrasonic cleaner, but that's fine. The airbrush is like fun for a few minutes and then it's a bunch of mess afterwards. Okay. So is that everything on here that needs to be painted dark gray? Oh, God bless. Freaking table. That was scary. Good reminder that I had to fix this. Tighten up these bolts a little bit. Drafting tables, they're wobbly and scary. Especially because they're not made for this kind of thing. How much did the camera shift when that happened? Oh, not a whole lot. Not really. Jeez, I thought these bulbs weren't supposed to get hot. That thing was burning. Is that better? Yeah, that looks a bit better. I have a little bit of delay. I'm doing all this work. 928. Okay. Jesus. That's terrible. Alright, I do still have white paint ready. Which I got ready a lot earlier. Let's maybe see if I can get that working. So I do need to paint the inside of the engines with white, which I feel like is going to take an absolute nightmarish amount of time to cover properly. And again, I should have filled in those sink marks or cleaned them out. And the part number, why that's in there, no idea. I didn't make this kit. I didn't design it. This was Tommy, it wouldn't be there. It'd just have massive holes where you couldn't actually see anything. White paint doesn't seem to dry as quickly. Or I'm not thinning it quite enough. Pretty sure the idea is that you want it to be almost like milk. Same consistency as milk. I don't know if the back of this should be painted as well. An abundance of caution may as well paint it too. If it doesn't need to be painted, it doesn't matter. If it does, I did it correctly. I'll clean that up later. It'll be fine for now. I have steel paint on the way so I can actually paint the fan blades and all that stuff too. I don't have very much in the way of metallic paints. I have like brass for yeah, brass, bronze, I don't know. One of the two for ship screws. I don't really have any other options on that. I probably have some silver. I have like old aluminum pigment too, which is certainly a fun way to make like silver or unfinished airplanes or polished airplanes, like MiG-15s and such, which were usually just left in bare metal. I remember seeing a tutorial on how to do planes like that. Probably in a really old 1970s modeling magazine, because I have so many of those. Because everything in my house is as old as the hills, including my house itself. But some of those still have some interesting techniques to learn from if you are interested in seeing through. It's like seeing them. The way people used to build kits, and some of that stuff's still pretty impressive to this day. People didn't have all the neat modern technologies. They had to do what they could with what they had. Like airbrushes back then were not as good. You know, you didn't have the same quality in paints, for example. Now paints are fancy. Got all kinds of crazy stuff in that regard. You barely have to do anything in order to make good looking kits. All the colors are hyper realistic and adjusted for scale, because I think you want smaller things to be a little lighter and larger things to be more true to color. Because it's scale effect, as I believe that's called. It's a little interesting, to say the least. I need to study a bit more about that to know what in God's name I'm talking about, but all the same. A lot of neat things to learn about. Gotta head to bed. Alright, have a good night. I should stop here in a minute. I'm gonna be talking to myself. That's fine. Hard to bring yourself to talk when you know nobody's watching. But if I don't continue on, I will regret it. Been wanting to do this for ages. Why would I want to stop? If I don't do it, I'm just a loser. We need to talk about interesting things in doing this, or at least things that I find interesting. Sometimes are history of the aircraft, sometimes might be architecture, some other goofy stuff. One of my friends might watch the leftover video from this, so I should probably not fill it all with dead air. So I'll talk about something for the next few minutes before I quit, because I need to take care of my dog and get a few things done. Something I've been fairly fascinated by is how terrible a lot of modern architecture is. Because, I don't know, if you're going to design a building these days, why does everything have to be terrible? Like, why is so much modern architecture just pathetic and boring? It's soulless. There's nothing there. There's no design. You don't feel like you're in the future. You don't feel anything from it. There's nothing interesting. It's like always pure white or pure glass, and there's nothing else to it. And I don't understand the aesthetic appeal of that. Like, it won't stay white for very long, and you're probably not going to have the people using the building constantly pressure washing it, so there's no benefit to making it white. Like, it just will not stay clean at all. At all. And even these, like, I mean, I'm painting the inside of this engine white, and I've seen enough planes to know that these are not going to be very white in the end. Like, the inside of engines are pretty crapped up a lot of the times. You'd be surprised how many bugs get sucked into them, for one, and they're splattered all over the inside of the cowling. It's interesting just how many of be in there, and no one goes through and wipes them down. Like, after the engine stops, it's still hot. Like, I'm not going to go in there and start wiping off bug guts from the inside of the engine cowling. Like, that's a nightmare. Especially considering on some planes you can't reach the engines. On an A319 or a B737 or something like that, sure you can manage that, but you certainly can't on anything else. God, I feel like I'm getting nowhere on this coverage. This white is so light. My brush is getting crapped up pretty bad. I'll throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner here shortly. And honestly, due to time, 9:39, I'm going to go ahead and call it for now anyway. Kind of a boring stream where not much progress got done. But hopefully everyone had some, well, a few people that watched it had some fun. And I suppose I will be back hopefully next week, maybe sooner.